Okay, Friday Flow. Here we go. I want to talk about a metaphor because I think that it is very beneficial to just kind of like, you know, have a foundation for how to approach life. And I'm not here to say that this is the way that I have approached life for a long time. Actually, quite the opposite. Um, Going throughout life without Novocain, right? If you go to a dentist and you have to get work done and it causes pain, right? The dentist can give you Novocain to numb the pain, right? I like that. Novocain to numb the pain. Um, and oftentimes, the way that people live is like Novocained, if that makes sense. Um, they don't really allow their emotions to be there. And, this is oftentimes a result of different things, usually going back to childhood, of how somebody was taught, to deal with pain or to deal with anger, right? But this whole thing of going throughout life without Novocaine is all about allowing emotions to be there, allowing pain to be there, allowing fear, shame, guilt, whatever it is, to be there, allowing anxiety to be there, allowing depression to be there. I'm not entirely sure how much this goes back to splitting, like black and white thinking. But in my own experiences, I learned to like value elevated emotions over like what would be considered low energy emotions, which is interesting because that's actually to suggest that one is better than the other, or that one is good and one is bad. Um, there is the belief that like anger is bad or that pain is bad and avoid it at all costs, right? And it's not that these beliefs are good or bad or right or wrong. It's more a matter of what it is that they do for a person. If somebody learns to, kind of numb themselves from pain, it's going to it's not a matter of like looking at it this way or that way. It's more a matter of what it does for you. And the more I learn about emotions and my because like I have learned to numb pain and to like avoid emotions of shame and guilt and fear and all that stuff. Um, but what it does is it fucks up the development, the emotional development of a person. It really does. When you learn to like avoid certain emotions, which I have, and by the way, like my means of doing so have been through like mindlessly scrolling and stuff, maybe eating something, watching a movie or a show. Um, I learned to just kind of like go into that mode rather than okay, put the phone away. I'm gonna lay here for a second. I'm gonna put a timer on for 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm just going to explore whatever's here. That is what I'm learning to do now. What I previously learned to do was to avoid everything at all costs. Um, and it's just interesting because like you know I continue to remind myself that they're just emotions. It's kind of like clouds passing in the sky, Like, oftentimes in the past, I have taken my thoughts very seriously and have forgotten that they're just thoughts, right? Um, but, like, a majority of things in life are really just weather. Like, they're kind of passing through and they're going to be on their way and everything's going to be fine, right? Um, I'm really learning to look at pain and what is considered to be lower energy emotions like fear, shame, guilt, all that stuff. Um, even like anxiety and depression. I'm learning to look at them less as like good or bad and more as just like what they are. And it's interesting too because this kind of goes back to the video that I made yesterday of talking about how we're taught how to perceive things, and oftentimes we see things in a very splitting way, right? There are two categories, this category and that category. You can label it right or wrong, good or bad, this or that, whatever you want to label it as. But until you take whatever it is that you put in one of those two categories out of it and actually look at it and realize, oh, shame. Where did that come from? What is that? What does that mean? Right? And like actually look at everything for what it is rather than just thinking that it's good or bad. In this case, lower energy emotions would be considered bad, so you don't even want to look at that stuff. It doesn't allow you to, in a healthy way, integrate these elements, which would then lead to a much more developmented, I don't even know if that's a word actually. A much more developed, there we go, emotional structure, which is actually very challenging for a lot of people to look at. And so I'm really just sitting with that, and I'm doing the best that I can to look at everything from a standpoint of what is this, rather than this is good or bad. Because, like, it's very easy to look at things in life, things and people as good or bad, right? It's very challenging because it can be uncomfortable, but it's very challenging to say right or wrong. I'm gonna take this out of wrong or out of bad, and I'm gonna look at it and be like, huh, what is this? Where does it come from? What are my experiences with it? What have I learned about it? Is it actually bad? What does it mean for something to be bad, right? And as I start to observe things and really like see them in fine detail for what they are, I start to step more away from the splitting. And what I appreciate about what I'm saying here is that this kind of has two parts. It goes into what I was talking about yesterday in terms of splitting and seeing things as either good or bad or right or wrong. And it also has to do with learning to have a healthy sense of integration when it comes to emotions, right? Because I have literally favored what are considered elevated emotions, which I can understand that a lot of people do. You know, joy, happiness, ecstasy, euphoria, love, um, all of that, excitement, all of that kind of stuff. And then, like, when the lower energy negative emotions or the bad emotions, they come in, and when they come in, right? You're like, fuck, right? It kind of just like, it creates a different environment and a different dynamic. And I'm doing the best that I can to teach myself to not numb and to not avoid or distract myself from them, and to actually, in a very productive way, set a timer for like 5 or 10 minutes to allow myself to just like let them be there, let them surface. Oh, hey, okay. Where did you come from? What do you mean? What are you? I'm not going to put you in any category at all, actually. Just going to sit with you. I'm going to read you like a book. I'm going to, examine you and all that stuff. And that's really what it's all about. The only way that awareness can develop is through observation. I think, at least. I like that. The only way that awareness can develop is through observation. Like, for instance, when a person introspects, when they go inside themselves, they're observing. When they observe, they're shining, because I don't mean to really use this as a metaphor, but it's kind of dark in there, right? They're shining a flashlight on their internal universe, and they're looking for different things, right? So they're observing, right? When we look at the universe, we are observing. What is there? What's out there? What's that? Wow, that's shiny. Oh wow, it's gone now. Oh my goodness, what's going on over there? That kind of stuff. That's how this works.